The Known Be Known is designed to familiarise us with the person at the front of the room. And usually they share a portion of their life story. You know, imagine if you were here for an hour and you had something to say about your life. Imagine your accumulated insight, knowledge, understanding, and for people to understand who you are, what drives you. And if I was sitting in your place watching, I'd be thinking, right, how can I connect that person? How could I work with them? How can they be of value to my clients or the people I engage with? And that's how it works. Also, while we're getting to know about the person in front of the room, we're also being educated by that person in their specialist area, in their understanding, their nuances. So the know and be known is it's a two-way thing. It's a breathe out, contribute, and also breathe in. So we're all getting something out of the process. The other thing it does, which is really interesting, which I didn't realise till about a year ago, when I was collating all the videos, remember a while back, and I was looking at videos from 18 months, 2 years ago, and then looking at people 2 years later, the transformation, the progress, their ability to be at the front of the room, their confidence with their subject, and also the way their subjects have gone like that, you know, like they're now venturing further, deeper, more ambitious in the way they are in front of the group. And there's a big difference between, I'd say, between being, one of the ways we describe the levels of being in the community, one is you're here as a guest or a new collaborator. You're sitting there taking it in, you're making some notes, you know, it's like anything, you're feeling your way into the community. But that would turn, I mean, and Vanessa's starting this journey today, is then when you're at the front of the room, contributing, that's a different level of participation in the world of collaborating. From one of taking, grappling with, engaging with information and understanding, and the other one is driving it into the community, so it becomes a kind of an understanding that we all share, common understanding. The other thing to say about the Known Be Known for our guests as well, and for you sitting here who've seen a few in your time, hey Mitch, you've seen a few of these now, is giving us as a community a level of understanding, but also BeCollaboration as an organisation isn't endorsing it. We're not saying, if Angela did Known Be Known, oh, well, Angela's right, we endorse everything you're saying. We're saying, you sit there, you work it out. Take the bits that work for you, grapple with the bits that don't fit, go up to her and say, well, I didn't quite understand that, but what do you mean, da da da. Yeah, so we're encouraging intelligent engagement. Not just, this is not TV, this is not passive, this is an engagement with each other. So does that set the scene?
Yeah.
Right, now on that note, normally I do genius slots. I don't do Known Be Knowns very often, so I have to kind of readjust my mind. And I think I started doing a genius slot today, doing all the thing, and I got really deep into it. And I thought, I can't do this in an hour and a half, let alone 20 minutes. So, everyone in the room, I'm going to request something of you, is park disbelief or park your opinions and go with me on this. Like, don't kind of work it out, is he right, do I agree? That'd be the booby prize. You can kind of work on that when you get home and look at your notes. Because what I'm going to be sharing with you today is really highly philosophical. And on the face of it, it will kind of go, oh yeah, I can get that. But you won't. And I promise you won't, because I've been grappling with these ideas for a long time, and I'm not comfortable with it myself. So I'm in with you. What I'm saying is, this is an inquiry, not a delivery of information you have to go, I agree, disagree. It's actually just, well, okay, well, how does that look in my life, in my projects? And remember, the context of this is performance for me. Oops, did I? Oh no, hold on. Oh, missed my moment there.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything. Think of this in terms of your performance. You know, who here, you know, are you like blown away with your performance? So, Joe, are you blown away with your performance in every area?
No.
Are there areas that you kind of, oh, I do all right there? And there's other areas you look at, you go, oh, not great.
Yeah.
Because what you get out of BeCollaboration isn't what BeCollaboration is giving you. In fact, BeCollaboration gives you not much. You know, me and Gill, in terms of what we give you as BeCollaboration is the room and the setup. There's some administration in the background. The value is what we're contributing in the space. Now, it's a bit like this. What you're getting is what you're getting. You're extracting the value because you're the one listening and filtering and grappling with and understanding. not because of the person who's giving it or the information itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're extracting it. Because if I did this same talk again, you'd pull out something different. So there's something it's got to go through. There's something that the information or what's being presented has to go through before it can get to where it needs to get to. And sometimes, would you agree, that there's things in the way that that information doesn't land? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did that make sense? You go, yeah, I get that. So have you ever kind of, someone said something to you, you don't get it, you argue about it, and then you go, oh, now I get what you're saying. Because it didn't land. It had to go through something to get to you. And we're going to be venturing into that. Now, the thing with this is, it's a bit crazy because you think that thing it's going through is who you are. Because that's who's filtering it all, right? Like there is a who. Or there's maybe a mechanism that's filtering the information. Are you with me still?
Yep.
Great, fantastic. Okay, so what I'm focusing on today is performance in general. Now, Gill has directed this Night Be Known at how you make the most of being part of this community, but it's that really that would be a booby prize. It's how do you make the most of everywhere you are? Because you're here right now, and tomorrow you'll be somewhere else, and week after that you'll be somewhere else. But within this unique community, how can you up your performance to another level that impacts all the other areas? That's a good question. It's an interesting question. Because to be here, you've got to pay some money, you've got to arrange your diary, you've got to get here. Who puts money in the parking meter? Yeah, we've got, you know, so you want a return as well, and we get that. So I looked at performance. Now I'm not really interested in any of it, really. The only bit I'm interested in is this bit. Accomplishment. Accomplishment. Accomplice. You know, we talk about the accomplices who run the... So part of the offering of collaboration is accomplishing the things and results that we want in our life. Now, in old 80s and 70s personal development, it was all about what? Come on, old school coaches, what was it all about? How's it a guess?
Goals.
Goals. Set your goals. Did you write your goals? And they told you that story about the people who left Harvard that set their goals and then left, they achieved. That's all, it is what it is, right? So I'm not going to say more about that, right? Yeah, but it is what it is, right? So we're not goal setting, right? We're not goal setting. But don't we have an interest? Aren't we really interested in accomplishing? Aren't we? Who's interested in accomplishing? You are, aren't you? You wake up thinking about it, you go to bed worrying about it. You go, oh yeah, I can, and you think, oh, I'm never going to do it. Who's had I'm never going to do it moment today? Today, in the last half hour. Exactly, right? Human beings, right? It goes up, it goes down. Then life happens. Stuff happens. Get a phone call. Something drops out of a deal. Someone's going to do something they didn't. How does that make you feel? How does that make us feel? Is someone trying to sign a contract with you right now? Anyone trying to get a contract in? I am. I got an email yesterday, it just blew everything out of the water. I'm like, oh. But he was there and I got it. That may blow everything out of the water, but there's something else going on. Okay, so I'm talking about accomplishment, general, and performance inside of this community. Okay. Now, I'm going to introduce something called the drift. So you can think of it like this. The drift is a bit like what's going on all the time. Things are going on, cars are going up and down the road, phone calls are being made, there's a whole load of stuff, activity going on, isn't there? Regardless whether you do anything or nothing, there's a whole load of actions and momentum set into play, like a chaotic fruit salad. Do you know what I mean though, right? It's all going on anyway. The sun's going to rise tomorrow. It will rain, it won't rain, there'll be snow. Who was hindered by the snow last week? Yeah, that's part of the drift. Now the thing is, we don't have the drift as just the drift, do we? Do we? Oh, we don't, I promise you. It becomes very personal. But imagine, right, you've got all those people in the drift. The sum total of humanity, all in this drift. And things are moving against each other, we're moving against them, things are happening, conversations, ideas, people send you an email, they don't send you an email, you get the result, you don't get the result, you get the deal, you don't get the deal, you get the whatever, yeah? But we're in the drift, it's all happening. And there's some things in the drift that are working for you. Can you name one or two? Have a go. You're probably wrong, don't worry.
You're wrong.
No, I'm
It's
joking.
working for me right now.
That's in the drift.
Is my personal relationship, yeah.
It's just happening, isn't it? Yeah? Okay, whenever you go, well, I worked for that relationship, I found the right man, I've been for kissed enough frogs, and I've got one good one now. But that's all in the drift, isn't it? Can you get that's in the drift? Who else can get something in their life or their performance that's just part of the drift?
Well, the way on split's going, what's going. Yeah.
It's kind of got its own, it's kind of taking on its own momentum. Yeah, exactly. I was going to look at Mitch now. You get people phone you up every day and ask you for some print, don't they?
Yep.
You're not doing anything for that print, it just comes. No, it's drift. Yeah?
I've put things in place to make it come, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but right now it's drift. It's all past, it's stuff you've done. You're either getting the result or you're not getting it. So there's a whole load of things that are all part of the drift and they're not actually personal. Because if you didn't answer the phone, someone else can answer the phone now. If it wasn't you, it'd be someone else.
Oh, okay, got you.
All part of the drift. These things are just happening. So we get caught up with them. It becomes very personal, because we have a very unique personal relationship to our world. And our performance is no different. But what we want to do is we want to take credit for the sun rising. The things that are already going to happen. We want to take credit for things that are already going to happen, and they're already happening, or they're not happening for us. Remember, I told you we're going to go off the edge in a minute, and this is probably about it.
Can you explain what you mean by we want to take credit for the sun rising?
Yeah, so it's like the farmer taking credit for the sun rising for his crops to grow. So there's a whole load of things that's already in place that is not personal to you. It could be our transport systems, it could be the media, it could be there's a new interest in certain financial products and suddenly we're a flavour of the day. Nothing that we've actively been involved in, they're happening around us. Get my point?
It's like it's happening, so the farmer's slotting himself to maximise the already happening.
Yes.
You put the farm in the right place, you put the crops in the right place, but
Sow the seeds.
it's like when you buy a house, I want the sunrise on the morning or the evening, so you manufacture.
No, let's put it this way, if print suddenly became obsolete, you'd be out of business, it'd be gone. At the moment, that's part of the drift.
Which was the prediction 10 years
Yeah, which was, we're still here.
But the people that survived did things to change
Yeah, yeah. No, that's interesting because we're getting on to something else now. But you could say same with Kodak film, fax machines. But I'm not talking about things, I'm talking about you. What you are making with the drift. Not just technology and advancements and changes in society. So these things are happening all the time. And here we're talking about performance. So what do you think, if things are going to be happening anyway, and we want to produce results, what, who, how, what do you think our engagement could be with the drift?
You're in the right place at the right time.
So timing could be it.
Being proactive.
Being proactive. Choice. Very good. All very good. Good answers. So I'm going to tell you now, it's not your commitment. The commitment doesn't affect the drift. Now remember, stick with me here, because you've been told everywhere that you get committed and things happen, right? But it's not your commitment. Hard work. No, it's not your hard work either. Not your hard work. Your hard work won't get it done. Who here's worked really hard and didn't get it done? Right, you're all familiar with that, right? I've worked really hard, Angela. And look at my results. My stand, yeah? I know. Last month I was saying it's your stand. This month I'm saying it's not your stand. Because we're talking about the drift. It's a different way of thinking about it, right?
Context.
Yes. So it's not your stand either. Your stand won't get it done. My feelings? Who are the feeling? Well, I feel good about this one. He seems nice enough. Oh, this client or whatever, yeah. Don't we connect our feelings onto something like that will make the difference. Dynamics. Now, by the way, what I mean by dynamics is things that have a life of their own. Like you said earlier on, Beja, about On Spirit has now got its own momentum. There's things outside your control. BeCollaboration has got its own dimension now. It's got its own dynamics. Gill is not we're not the ones leading this, and we don't want to be. We're just catalysing it moving forward, but we're not like, hey, this is what's going to happen, this is how it's going to go, we're leading. We are leading it. There's a community of people. And look in your family, and look in any organisations you're involved with, things kind of start to take their own momentum and they go where they go. Someone told me something, I was sharing this, they said, get a tugboat, like that will sort your boat out, you know, that'll pull you off. And in a way, it's probably the most enlightened answer there. Okay. If you've got a desire to ask a question, don't. Stay with it.
It's clear for you.
So only one thing really impacts the drift. And you'll all know the answer to this. So you're here, you're a member of BeCollaboration, maybe later, new. And the drift's going on, all these dynamics are going on, and you kind of get to a sense that it's going to go on with or without you. Goes on, doesn't it? Carries on, everything carries on, it's doing its own thing. So, how am I going to instill a sense of breakthrough and performance in you when you already know the answer? So I'm going to ask, who knows the answer? You do. Tell me, what's the answer?
The way you react to what happens in the drift.
Very close.
What you choose to react with.
Well, you choose to react.
Action.
Bingo.
Oh, sort of there.
Yeah, you know. Action. But the problem is, I've told you we're going to go off the edge, and you already all know this, don't you? Who didn't know that? Who didn't know action makes the difference in anything you want to achieve? You didn't know that.
I was state of mind.
But that influence, but you've got the state, that's what I'm saying about your commitment, your stand, your intention is all in here, but somewhere you've got to engage with reality and do something. Pick up the phone, go to a meeting, send someone a proposition. You want to get more photography business, you've got to go out there and make a case for why people should get their photos done by you. That's how we engage with realities, through action, through, you know, cause and effect. You have to engage with reality. So I kind of took you up there and we've gone back down, oh well, it's action. Yeah, but there's a problem. See, as human beings, we never take action in the present. Where we do, in reality we do, because I can only do this in the present. But who I am in the present is not always present, as in here and now. There's something else going on with us. So if you're not producing the result that you want, consider there's something else in the way before you get to the action. Otherwise you'd have the result. So our world and our world view is shaped. And it's shaped through an action in the domain of context. So it's a bit like, who's doing the action? Who is doing the action? As opposed to the action. Who are you when you're doing the action? Are you someone trying to survive? Are you someone trying to fix it? Are you trying to prove your worth? Are you actually proving that you're not good enough? Because you don't get the result that you say you want. And you go away, I'm going to say, we go away feeling like, oh. Or we go away going triumphant. How long have I got? 2 minutes? 5 minutes?
I know Carol's time.
How long have you been given?
20.
You can go in the group.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Okay, cool. So language is really key. Language is really key. And it's not language, I'm not talking about language outwardly spoken at this point. I'm talking about what you're telling yourself about what you're out to achieve. And then look at that. And there's different types of language. I'm only going to go into something very, very briefly here. But, example, running is running an action. Think of running as an action, but the word running is not an action, it's a description. Yeah, good, you get that. So there's language that describes, or talks about, or reflects upon, and there's different language. So
What would the word be then?
I'm going. Well, I don't know about running, but I'm going. Oh, you get it now. Watch. So, a promise is an action. Because when you promise something, you're impacting reality. Your language is shaping the person doing the doing. whereas running describes the action that was done or is being done. In your speaking, you are creating outcomes as opposed to talking about outcomes. So when we promise something, there's a different charge to that, isn't it? So you think about marriage. When you get married, they say, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Bang. It's a declaration which alters the future from that point onwards. Or guilty. That kind of talk is different to descriptive talk, complaining talk, observation talk, or opinions. People get really confused about it. So opinions are not that kind of talk. Well, I think she should tell him to go to the blah. Well, I don't think made you do the blah. Well, I think you can, all right? Blah. Doesn't have any power. Blah, 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 blah. You getting this? Oh, it all makes sense in a sec. So, how do you impact your action? Well, look, taking action that is not part of the drift is the action I'm asking you to look at. So if you're coming to BeColl and you're doing your usual turn up, okay, how are you? Lovely to see you. You look like a big chewing gum. Right?
Oh, she's good.
Now, if you're coming to BeColl, if you're coming to this community and you're having those conversations, which are lovely, because Kay's lovely, but they're not the conversations that are going to produce results. Do you get the difference?
Yeah.
You get the difference? So this is not about turning up here and be comfortable and enjoy yourself and you'll have all of that. This is about what performance jumps do I want to create in my life, in my work. And we're talking specifically about creating commercial opportunities, whether it's to get referred, whether it's to create products, whether it's to collaborate with other people and achieve something you couldn't have done on your own, because that would be fun and we could do something we could never do on our own. Who are the Lone Rangers? Come on, Lone Rangers, put your hands up. 2 years at BeCollaboration, you're still a Lone Ranger. No, you didn't mean that, but you know what I mean. The Lone Ranger, I'll do it myself. Gill does that every now and again when people let her down. She, oh, what the hell, I'll do it myself. And she gets upset. I go, don't do it then.
Yeah, you're no woman.
But we all do it though. Right, so action not as part of the drift. Now that is not what you would normally do, because that is your drift. You have a drift. You have a drift, and that's what I'm asking you to look at. It's kind of your already, always way of state of being, and how you perform is your drift. So you want to produce a performance breakthrough, you have to shift that. Got it, right? Mm-hmm. And this is not like I'm going to lay down and meditate kind of thing. That's not me, right? This is like get off your ass and make it happen kind of thing. Like, because if I put a gun to your head, or if I was going to take something away from you, it was really important to you, or I said, hey Kay, here's £1 million, you'd make it happen, wouldn't you? Everything you've got going on right now, you'd go, that's it, I'm doing it. No way I'm going to walk away from this one failing, ever. But you don't play that way because you're in your drift. Business as usual. Now, whose mind's a little bit messed up right now? Yeah? So this is the only picture I could find that could kind of explain that for me. So you're sitting there, you feel like it's just going to explode. But think about it, it's really simple. If it's already the normal kind of behaviour and action, that's your drift. If it's extraordinary, outstanding behaviour, like there's 5 phone calls you could make that would turn your life around, by Monday, make those 5 phone calls. Send those 5 emails. No, but the drift will go, well, but it's Saturday tomorrow. I'm going out with my friends, I've got a party, I've got to go do some shopping. Oh, the grass needs cutting. Does grass need cutting yet? I'm only saying that because I've got a garden coming soon. So that's my drift, right? Soon, yeah. Do you get my point though? If it's all normal, everyday activity, it's your drift. It's nothing extraordinary. There's nothing. It doesn't take anything to do the drift. It's going to happen anyway. And your drift is your drift. It's personal and unique. And only you can work that out. So, to sum it up, really what we're looking at is action from the future, not the past. Because if it's your drift, it's the past. If it's future, it's exciting, it's new, it's elevated, it has a new level of effectiveness. Because it's not drift, it's action outside of the drift. So, how do you currently justify your results? You know, so we'll talk about our results and we'll go, yeah, but I don't have the time, don't have the circumstances, the market's changed, my abilities, I'm not good at that kind of thing. Contacts, money, all BS, isn't it? Because if your life was on the line and you were operating out of the drift, out of your drift, you'd make miracles. Because you've done it before. You're just not being it. So the person that takes the action is who? So Jill's going to give you a whole load of actions. If it's the same old person doing it, oh, well, I've done that before, it didn't work. Because it's not the action, it's who's taking the action. Do you see the difference? I could give, right, Andrew, you take 10 phone calls. Vanessa, you take 10 phone calls. Paul, yeah? Paul, you take 10 phone calls. Paul, sorry. Paul?
Paulie.
Paul Lee. You haven't got your name badge on, so I can't.
Oh, sorry.
You'd all come up with different results, wouldn't you? Because there's a different person doing it. There's a different past that you've got to manage out of the way to create something new. So consider all part of the all part of your current paradigm is all part of the fear, scarcity, competition paradigm. As an overlay. Think of it as the tablecloth over the table. When we're operating inside of fear, scarcity, and competition, we're worried about the outcome. We're worried about this. We're not taking the full action because fear is encasing us. Scarcity, there isn't enough, so I'm not going to get what I want. Or I'm not going to produce the result I want. And competition, like someone's going to get there before me. Because we've been bred that way. And if you don't know, you want to know more about that, read Jill's book. So, the case for action is work with performance in mind. Like when you sit down and you're going to write that email, don't just write it and send it. Look at that email and think to yourself, right, who is sending this email? Is it my drift or is there something extraordinary I'm working here? It's a different way of being, isn't it? It's a totally different person sending that email. Clearing. So if at the moment, if what's not showing up in your results, consider that's your drift. Whatever's there that you don't want, that you're pushing away, so why am I getting that? That's your drift. That's what you're pulling in. Okay. And then just keep thinking love, connection, abundance. Love, connection, abundance.
Connection, not collection.
Oh, well, that's my spell check for you.
Or is it?
Or is it? Aha. Okay, I'm gonna leave you. I'm 30 seconds over.
I got it.
Could be. I love that. I found this quote today. Lose yourself in generous service, and every day can be a most unusual day, a triumphant day, an abundantly rewarding day. And that's me done. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Well done.